Every few centuries there are stories told that are so legendary they are known globally, and today it is my honour to bestow upon you a story known to me as the Couch Pee incident. Okay, so this story involves me and my younger brother who's 2 years younger than me, and if he knew I was making this video, he'd probably kill me, so let's not tell him about it. Let's just keep it between us guys, okay? So this story starts as all good stories do. I was 6, my brother was 8, we just finished school, just got home to my grandmother's house, and we were playing PlayStation 2. Some of my best memories were made playing PS2, and this was certainly one of them. So that day, me and my brother were playing a game that made us the men who are too afraid to speak to women that we are today. I'm of course talking about The Simpsons Hit and Run. Now I know a lot of you probably just had a nostalgia orgasm as soon as I said that and filled your boxes with gentleman's relish as soon as I announced that legendary title. And believe me, just saying it makes me want to vote Quimby. So anyway, we were playing this game, and for whatever reason, we were both naked. I don't know why. We were both naked. There was no real reason to warrant it. It wasn't as if our clothes had just been burned in a massive house fire. I can only assume it must have been a really sweaty gamer session. As you can remember, The Simpsons Hit and Run, everyone knows that it was made for professional gamers. Only the most elite gamers could complete that last mission. Remember the one involving the toxic waste? Yeah, it was pretty tough. So anyway, we were sat there on this couch, naked, and the couch in question didn't belong to my parents, actually belonged to my grandmother. And let's just say it wasn't the most new of couches. I think its last owner was probably Jesus. Now this couch had seen a couple of stains over the years, don't get me wrong, it had the odd bit of milk spilled on it or a bit of jelly spilled on the cushions, but it was not ready for the onslaught that my brother had prepared for it that fateful day. Now, as most of you probably know, if you've played Simpsons Hit and Run, it's predominantly a one-player game. Like, you can't play 2 players at the same time unless you're playing the racing, like the above. But we never played that because it wasn't fun. Which means that you can only play with one controller, which also means that we had to alternate turns playing the game. We couldn't both play it at the same time. Now, for those of you who don't know, my brother's a gamer. I mean, I'm a gamer, but my brother, he's like a serious gamer. So because of this, whenever we were playing a one-player game, he would want to make the most of his time. He knew that if he had to get up to go do something, that would mean he would lose his controller time, and I would take the controller and start playing the game for however long I wanted to play it. As a smart way of combating this, he decided to store all of his fluids inside of his body, kind of like a squirrel does in winter where it stores its acorns, except he wasn't storing nuts, he was storing piss. About around 10 seconds before the incident was to occur, it had been my brother's turn for a good couple of hours, and he'd been filling up. Believe me, I was watching him, and at my grandmother's house, it's like kind of, she brings out snacks and drinks. If you finish yours, you won't be allowed to leave unless you drink at least a litre of fluids. So whenever my brother would finish a glass, my grandmother would automatically go to the kitchen and fill it up again. It was kind of like being an all-you-can-eat gasoline station where you're the Hummer being filled up with gasoline. And it was around this time that something happened in the game that should not have happened, which caused the most unholy of chain reactions. So basically in the game you have 2 attacks. You can either like jump and slam on like pedestrians, or you can just simply kick them. Now my brother went to kick one of the pedestrians for no particular reason. I remember who it was. It was actually Ralph Wiggum, and he just went up to him and did the kick move, and instead of, which is what they're supposed to do, they're supposed to just get kicked and then fall and flop around the floor for a little bit like a fish out of water. When he kicked Ralph kind of did a completely vertical acceleration and then somehow just catapulted himself across the screen. This, to me and my brother, was comedy gold. Forget Five Nights at Freddy funny moments and Among Us funny montages. This was the pinnacle of comedy for me and my brother. So, like any normal kids, we started laughing. But I mean hysterically, not your normal laughter. Our sides were splitting. It was hard to breathe. We were practically paralyzed. In fact, reading it aloud kind of sounds like we were having a minor heart attack simultaneously. And it was at this point that my brother decided it would be a good idea to become an indoor garden sprinkler. He'd lost all functionality of all his bodily limbs, apart from his legs and wiener. So he stood up, unable to hold back the floodgates of piss that he had stored inside of him and released himself, covering the entire front room in piss. Instead of running to the toilet when this started happening, he decided to simply jump up and down uncontrollably on the sofa, aiming at every single thing in the room, completely drenching it within a 1 meter radius. Kind of like he was a dog trying to mark his scent on everything in the shortest amount of time. And now I know you're probably thinking, well, what about me? I was sat right next to him. Was I not hit with a pummeling of piss? Well, luckily, my sides were also splitting from how humorous the glitch on screen was, and I had actually fallen over the arm of the chair in the hysteria, so I was actually sheltered from the golden downfall of this just absolutely yellow shower. I felt like I was on the beaches of Normandy. I felt like I was Tom Hanks in Saving Private Ryan. I was getting the hellfire. It was just coming at me. I don't entirely remember my grandmother's reaction, but I'm fairly certain she wasn't the most excited to find out how difficult it was going to be to clean out piss from her antique sofa. Oh, what's that? You think this was the only time that this happened? Oh, no, far, far from it. Did I not tell you? He's a gamer. He likes to piss on everything he can. So after the initial couch pee incident, around 6 months later, I think it was, my mum got us a game called Happy Trail Hamster Ball. And this was essentially Super Monkey Ball, but with hamsters. And once again, me and my brother sat playing it at my grandmother's house, naked for whatever reason, but this time we'd been relegated to the back room instead of the living room to play our games. Yeah, I kind of just realized now that the reason we were now in the back room was probably because of the couch pee incident and how my nine didn't want to spend the next 2 hours cleaning urine out of her antique couch. Anyway, the chairs that we were sat on in the dining room were actually even more sentimental than the old couch in the living room, because the chair that my brother was sat on didn't even belong to my grandmother. It was actually passed down to her from her mother. So it's actually my great-grandmother's chair. Anyway, this time we were both playing at the same time. We were playing multiplayer against each other. But believe me, that did not stop my brother from filling up his floodgates full to bursting once again. And funnily enough, once again, a glitch did occur in the game. This time, when we went along the path, the hamster and the ball just kind of fell off a cliff and into kind of like a void, mirroring the self kind of like you do when you open a camera and you focus it on a TV, and like loads of things keep multiplying. Anyway, that happened, and then the volume kept amplifying. And once again, to me and my brother, this was comedy gold. Leave your Adam Sandlers, forget your Boss Babies. This was all my brother and I needed to once again go into a mass hysteria, laughing fit. And once again, my brother became the indoor garden sprinkler, completely soaking everything within a meter radius, except this time in the dining room. And that did include the antique chair belonging to my great-grandmother. I don't know what it is about my brother and just peeing on everything, no matter where it is. If he hasn't marked it, he must feel the need to go out of his way to make sure he marks his territory. I'm glad to say since that day there have been no more urine-related incidents involving my brother and PlayStation, but it's my brother, he is a gamer, so I can never be too sure when the next time might occur. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this story, and I hope you spread it to your children just the way that my brother spread it all over the living room. So that's it. Catch you next time.